Yeah, it's time. Cheers, it's cheers. Time to celebrate. Rewind. It's time. Yeah. It's time. Get it. It's time to celebrate.
Man, people be sleeping on bees like everything's all sweet with them. But statistically, they catch way more hats than sharks do every year. Man, I mean, they way exceed sharks by far. The stats is 100 to 1. Every time a shark catch a body, the bees already done collected 100. Bees are our best friend. They be in our garages. They make their little bee nest on our doors. I mean, they prop up wherever they like, man. One time I even seen a bee nest on the bike. So that's why those stats make such good sense, man, because you think about it. We don't live in the ocean. We'll go and visit. We'll go for a swim or whatnot. Plus, sharks don't even like the taste of humans. So a shark attack is totally avoidable. Just don't go out swimming in the ocean. But for a bee attack, man, you're going to have to come outside sooner or later. So when you have the choice of a super large hive of bees or a shark, man, you better choose the shark. Well, I was out on a nice little relaxing walk and I thought about something. So I said, let me go ahead and start recording. And that's how it is. That's why I be telling all my other trucker creators, hey, make sure you got a trucker headset because it really comes in handy. You're already walking around with the microphone on your head already. So all you got to do is boom, go ahead and start recording as soon as the idea gets in your head. I mean, like right now, I'm walking around a bunch of noisy trucks, but you can hardly tell that anything's in the background because these trucker headsets got some good noise canceling on there, but it blocks out all that background noise. And as a content creator, that's one of the biggest things. We'll be like, yo, I got a good idea. I gotta go get somewhere quiet where I can record. But with your trucker headset on, any place you go is a nice, quiet place to record. Don't worry about it. It'll block out all that background noise. Now, which trucker headset would be best for recording? It really don't matter, man. Whatever's in your budget range and whatever features that you like, just shop around. I think the two top ones out here is like Road King and Blue Parrot. I got both of them. Kind of partial to Road King, but like I say, it don't matter to me which one you get. It's just uh, grab you a noise canceling mic and get it going. Hell, I ain't sponsored by none of them. Man, I gotta think, man. Really, if I could get with one of them to get a sponsorship. I might have to look into that. But anyway, yo, that's been my tip of the day.
Some millennials have been talking and blogging and asking the question of, well, why can't we have a younger president? Which is a real good question to be asking. But before we get into that, I got to do a disclaimer now. I don't do politics. I'm not into all that. So, I mean, I'm not the type to be talking about anything that can mess around and get my channel shut down. Now, if you're a fellow content creator, then you know what I'm talking about. Okay, well, now with that understood, man, let's go. There's a big conspiracy out right now about why we only can have some old, elderly, one foot in the grave type presidents right now. Some people think it's because if he has a little accident or have to be replaced, it'd be real easy to explain. Which kind of makes sense when you think about it, because if you got a young, healthy guy, say this guy be jogging all the time, he's healthy as an ox, something happened to him, people gonna be like, nah, man, how something happened to him? Yo, you gotta explain this to me. Something don't sound right. But on the other hand, if you got an old, elderly guy, ain't nothing to explain. Everybody be like, okay, well, I guess, Father Time just caught up and, just human nature. They could cover it up easily by saying nothing to see here, folks. I mean, dang, the guy, 100 years old, man? Yo, his check engine light been on for a while now. We surprised he made it this far. And that's why we can't have a young president, because if the guy's not almost 100 years old, then yeah, that move right there wouldn't even work.
Well, when you travel a lot, sometimes you might go to buy a toothbrush in a different city and they might not have the type of toothbrush that you like, or you might be overseas in a foreign place and can't find a good toothbrush. I got the perfect DIY for that. Uh, Do-it-yourself toothbrush grip. Just grab a couple of rubber bands and wrap that around the handle of the toothbrush. Now you got a good gripping toothbrush right there. It comes in handy when you're at a place that doesn't have those fancy toothbrushes, or you just plain don't want to kick out the money for one with the right grip, or you just can't find one with the right grip. Either way, this is the perfect way to fix that. Now, go ahead and like and follow for more suggestions. Well, I saw this little lizard right here while I'm in Tennessee, and I'm like, okay, that's a nice species of lizard right there. I like the coloration and everything, but it made me think about a real big lizard that I saw one time that nobody even believed I ever saw. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you about it. Man, nobody believed that I seen the iguana that I saw, man. But this iguana was huge. I'm talking massive. about the size of a horse. I mean, for real, if I had a saddle, I could throw it on the back of this iguana and ride it through town. That's how huge this thing was. And that's probably because people are just thinking about a pet iguana when they think of an iguana. But the size of an iguana depends on two different things. How much room does it have to grow? If you got the iguana in a little small enclosure or whatever, you ain't got a lot to work with. Plus, you got to think about what type or specific species the iguana is. Like the green iguana is the main iguana. That's the one that they grow up to 6 feet. Those things get huge. Which also happens to be the main iguana in Puerto Rico, where I ran into Buddy back in the bush. Too bad it was back in the day, man. We didn't have smartphones back then yet. They wasn't invented. But if they was, man, I would have pulled out and started recording right then and there. A green iguana can live up to about 10 to 15 years in the wild if nobody bothers it and leave it alone. And most of their life, they just sit around eating and munching on leaves and stuff all day. That's how they get so massive. But now, when we're talking about iguana's length, we also got to bring up the tail because the tail is like the biggest part of it. The tail take up about 60 to 7% of the body length. And the tail is also to do damage on any predator that tries to mess with it. They use it like a whip to protect themselves. But now, if you're in Puerto Rico, don't be surprised if you hear them call iguana by a different name. They might call it gallas de pollo, which basically means tree chicken. Oh, yeah, yeah, it's good eating now. I mean, it's a tasty meat there, man. It's a good source of protein. Nah, but really, even though some people do eat iguanas, I mean, it is some good food source. Man, I'm kind of mixed about that part because when I see iguana, I'm like, oh, it's so cute. Can we keep it? Man, I don't know if I can eat an iguana, man. I probably have and didn't even know because sometimes I be at the barbecue just piling up a plate, you know, ain't no telling. Yeah, so since I be talking about a lot of high tech and cars and science and technology space, I seen something with the cars lately, and since I travel a lot, I see a lot of stuff on the road. But I've been seeing cars burning up and stuff. So I don't know if that's from cheap parts or the manufacturing just trying to throw stuff up real quickly and messing up. But whatever it is, man, ain't a lot being talked about. Like that one lady on the subway went ablaze, and that made headline news, but nobody's talking about the cars. I don't get it when it's a lot of cars. But at the same time, these big manufacturers, they got the big money too. So I know better than to stick my nose in the big business. I see what happened to Puffy, man. You don't mess with big business, man. Yeah, big business gave that man the big business. But yeah, I don't know what it is with the cars, but you might notice it yourself, man. Yeah, see, like every now and then on the road, another car that burnt up. So if anybody got more information on that, leave something in the comments.